The champagne bottle bobbed in my pool like a silent accusation when I spotted her. Laura, sprawled across my lounge chair in a glittering silver dress, laughed as if she owned the night itself. It wasn't the fairy lights draped over my pergola or the clink of my stolen wine glasses that set my blood boiling. It was the memory of her sobbing on this very patio 3 summers ago, begging her husband not to walk out. I'd held her then, believed her tears, and now here she was, throwing another party on my property, while VYing to her guests like she claimed my life without ever touching the deed. The betrayal didn't hit me all at one seat, slithered up my spine, cold and slow, mixing with the damp from the evening storm. This wasn't about a pool. It was about being erased in my own world until I decided I wouldn't let it happen anymore. When I bought this house, it felt like a fresh start, a quiet, sun-soaked spot at the end of a cul-de-sac, hidden behind hedges that seemed to hum with the breeze. I didn't choose it for grandeur, it was mine, a sanctuary after years of chaos. My mom's illness, my brother's legal troubles, a corporate job that nearly broke Maine needed a place that asked nothing of me. The pool was more than water. It was a mirror for the sky, a calm in the storm of my life. I rarely swam, but its stillness grounded me. Then Laura moved in across the street, blonde, loud, always buzzing with HOA plans. She showed up with a tray of lemon bars and a smile sharp enough to cut glass. She was friendly. We talked about our pasts, her insecurities, her husband's distance. I listened, poured wine, even let her use my pool when life got heavy. I thought I was being kind. She saw it as an invitation to take over. Her first party was small, just a few neighbors, she said, since her yard was being redone. I said yes, even helped hang lights and set out drinks. But by the third party, she stopped asking. She'd just tell me, and when I pushed back, her voice turned icy, legalistic. She claimed the HOA had rights to my backyard, that the community had voted for shared spaces. I was floored. I'd never joined the HOA, made that clear when I bought the house, had it written into my deed. But Laura didn't care. She was the president now, and, in her mind, she wrote the rules. I spent weeks unraveling her lies, lawyers, letters, heated talks on my porch. She dodged with charm, twisted reality with terrifying confidence. She even told neighbors I was losing my memory, sowing doubt to keep using what wasn't hers. The worst part? She was good. People believed her. I started questioning myself, wondering if I'd agreed to something I couldn't recall. Her manipulation was that sharp, that deep. But I kept digging. One night, I found a bombshell in the county records. Laura had tried to merge my property with a greenway behind her house. The request was denied, but she'd kept it quiet. The timing lined up with her growing boldness. When legal tricks failed, she turned to social warfare, hiding her theft under HOA signatures and meetings I wasn't part of. That night, I watched from my upstairs window as she set up another party. Lanterns glowed over my pool. Music pulsed. Guests streamed, in one questioning her right to be there. I didn't storm out or call the cops. I gripped the printout of her failed zoning attempt and made a plan, not loud, not messy, but precise, in her own language of quiet control. The pool she coveted was the one I'd neglected, too weighed down by life to enjoy. Now it was a battle line, marking who I'd been VYing, accommodating, and who I was becoming. I started collecting evidence, photos of party setups, timestamps from secret cameras I'd installed after her second stunt, screenshots of her texts, HOA emails where she lied about ownership. I filed it all methodically, made backups, had a friend notarize my complaint log. I told no one, not even friends who drifted away, unsure what to believe. The truth was heavy, and I knew it would land where it needed to. After her last guest left that night, I stepped outside. The pool lights hummed, plastic cups floated like ghosts. Barefoot on the damp grass, I whispered a promise, not a curse, but a vow. This was the last time she'd throw a party here. Not because I'd scream, but because I'd learned to be silent thunder, moving the ground beneath her until she didn't know where she stood. The next morning, I found a cocktail umbrella in my rose bush, an empty wine glass teetering on the pool ladder, its stem chipped. Laura's mess lingered like a taunt. I didn't clean it. I wanted her to see her own debris when she peeked over the hedge, always watching like a hawk. I walked the patio, snapping photos not just for evidence, but to reclaim control. Every click reminded me I wasn't crazy, that this wasn't normal, that I had every right to fight back, no matter how powerful she seemed in the neighborhood. Later, over cold coffee, I thought about the day Laura borrowed my patio heater, hugging me like I was her savvy, or that was when I let her in, still raw from losing my mom, grief like wet cement in my chest. She'd brought casseroles, sent flowers, cried with me, but it was all a performance, timed for when I was weakest. She'd waited until I was vulnerable to invade my peace, my home, my autonomy. Her betrayal wasn't just the parties. It was how invisible it made me feel. Every boundary I set was met with gaslighting sweet smiles and lines like, "You're always welcome at our events," as if my home was a public park and I was just its groundskeeper. When I pulled back, she spun my silence into concern, telling people I was unwell, using my grief to justify her trespassing. That kind of manipulation is hard to name. In a moment it slips through, corrodes, then hardens into rage. That afternoon, I drove to the county zoning office, a bland building behind strip malls. Marcus, a clerk who'd helped me before, pulled up Laura's failed zoning request. Seeing it on his screen, with the rejection letter, felt like vindication. He also showed me 3 complaints she'd filed against my noise, landscaping all dismissed. She was building a case to paint me as unfit, and when that failed, she leaned on social pressure. That was her game. Control the story before truth could breathe. I went home and drafted letters 1 to the HOA board, not expecting action, but documenting the issue. 1 to the city about unpermitted events, another to a lawyer friend for a cease and desist. I wasn't angry, just focused. Laura thrived on chaos. I'd counter with precision. That night, I saw her shadow in her window across the street. Did she sense the shift, the quiet storm brewing? Probably not. People like her don't expect consequences. They believe they're untouchable. That's their weakness. I spent the evening organizing evidence in folders, labeling every date, every lie. It wasn't just about legal protection. It was about reclaiming my story. For too long, I let her twist it, playing the polite Tim. But people like Laura don't stop to de-escalate. And the longer you wait, the more they take. 2 days later, she knocked, holding a Tupperware of banana bread, sunglasses perched on her head, smile as fake as ever. She glanced past me, like my house was still hers. I said nothing, letting the silence stretch until she squirmed. She babbled about clearing the air, saying she was worried I'd been distant. Her words dripped with concern, but they were warnings. She controlled the narrative, and my silence let her define me. I took the bread, set it on the porch railing, and mentioned I'd been talking to the county about her land merger attempt. Her face flickered, just for a second, before she laughed it off as a misunderstanding. I smiled polite. Cold Ann went inside, Leah VYing her alone on my porch. That was the start of her unraveling. Over the next week, I moved quietly. I filed a complaint with the city attorney, attaching photos, texts, surveillance clips. I sent documents to the HOA board, warning of legal risks if Laura kept using my land without permits. I didn't beg or demand I informed. That's what made it stick. One day, I overheard Laura at a neighbor's door, spinning her usual tale. I was struggling, needed grace. But the neighbor shut her down, closing the door. The narrative was cracking. I hosted a small dinner that week, just 2 trusted friends eating by the pool with candles lit. It wasn't about the spacey, it was about rewriting its story, washing away Laura's taint. We talked about books, grief, life not her. It was healing. Then came an HOA notice on my door. Landscaping violations, overgrown hedges. I laugh at it was so predictable. I sent proof my yard was compliant, copied my lawyer, who drafted a trespass complaint. I also reached out to Lydia, a kind co-editor of the community newsletter. I pitched an essay on boundaries, ownership, and respect, thoughtful, not accusatory. She published it. Laura saw it first, and I wanted her to feel the ground shift. The essay went live, and neighbors texted, some asking if it was about Laura. I didn't answer. The words had planted doubt in her perfect image. That weekend, Laura didn't throw a party. My pool was quiet, my yard still. I sat by the water, feet dangling, feeling control return. But then a letter arrived from an attorney, accusing me of causing Laura emotional distress and defamation. The irony was staggering. I forwarded it to my lawyer, who called it a desperate bluff. We sent a response, calm and firm, warning of countersuits for trespassing and harassment. Silence followed. Neighbors started whispering why was Laura using my land? Why so many complaints against her? I sent a packet to the next HOA meeting, documents, maps, emails with a cover letter saying, for your information. Facts were Laura's kryptonite. The meeting was tense. By morning, my pool area was clean, chairs stacked, no trace of her chaos. I left it untouched, letting her retreat sit in the open. But I wasn't done. Laura had stolen time, peace, dignity. I called a local blog reporter, sharing my story not for drama, but to warn about HOA overreach and social manipulation. The article didn't name Laura, but described her tactics. Comments poured in, stories of similar bullies. Laura's shine faded. She stepped down from the HOA, citing stress. Her party stopped. Her house went up for sale, sold quietly. One morning, MOVYing truck took her away. She never looked up. An envelope arrived soon after no name. Just a note saying, for the damage, and a check covering every cost, down to the glitter-clogged filter. It wasn't an apology, but an admission. I didn't cash ITI, filed it with the rest. The HOA sent a letter retracting claims about my yard, thanking me for my patience. I framed it, a reminder of the fight. New neighbors moved in a family with kids and a loud dog. They waved, real waves. I gave them herbs from my garden, no strings attached. That night, I lit a candle by the pool, watching it flicker. I'd almost given up, almost sold this house. Grief had softened me, but betrayal forged something stronger. I waded into the pool, floating under the stars, the water mine again. The neighborhood changed, quieter now, with cautious nods from those who'd let Laura slide. I tended my garden, swam, invited friends, laughed without fear. Laura's house became a home again, her stage dismantled. I sighted my mom's grave, Leah VYing roses, and a note about the fight I'd won out with screams, but with truth. Autumn came, leaves turning copper, the pool a sanctuary. I didn't need an apology. I'd reclaimed my voice, my peace, my story. And in the silence, I was whole. What would you have done if my shoe faced her head-on, or played the long game like I did? Was I too harsh, or did Laura get what she deserved? Should I have cashed that check, or kept it as a trophy? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you felt the fire in this story, and subscribe for more real-life dramas that'll keep you hooked.